All right, welcome back. It is the middle of the afternoon on day 3, and we have a first table finishing. It is table number 2. So this one ended up being a common turn victory by endgame die roll on turn 18. So we'll kind of start with where things are for points, I suppose, of how we're doing. So on the points, it was 9 for the common turn, 4 for the allies, and 7 for the Axis. It was a little bit closer, but there were some shenanigans, and so that's what it looked like. Tech, everybody was getting fairly decent tech. So the common turn and USA both ended up getting their tech roll. I think common turn got it on turn 17 and USA got it on turn 18. So that did come through. Income, a little over 80 for the Soviets when you consider their diplomacy plus 3 that they had there as well. So yeah, looking pretty good. And so let's go and look at the table and see where things are at. So the Germans had gone and smashed London this morning and knocked out everything in the home island. But then as soon as they finished that, they then turned their sights and they were headed. Actually, the Soviets dowed Germany to get rid of Barbarossa, but they were turning their sights on the Soviets, particularly looking at Helsinki. That's why Helsinki has fortification, airbase, few coastal guns, and a decent stack there. Their fleet did die to the Germans, but they took down, I think it was 5 or 6 ships and 2 planes going out. But the interesting move here was the Germans actually dowed Spain, which flipped the Republicans to Soviets, and then the Republicans immediately went and took Gibraltar to kill Sun Never Sets, because nothing else had been taken. Malta, Egypt, and Malay were all still intact. And so that killed Sun Never Sets, and then they turned around and now they're trying to defend Madrid. The Germans would certainly take it probably in 2 turns. Maybe this turn they could make a push for it. Risky push this turn, a solid, easy push next turn. The Italians, or elsewhere for the Germans, they just obviously because the Dow went into East Poland, went into Bessarabia, and they are, I think it's around 45-ish German units are facing off with about, including the stuff behind, about 60 Soviet units, but then the Germans have a massive air force as well, particularly this air force up here that's currently sitting down here to hit Madrid. Italians, they started to go in to get the Greece point. They would still need Malta, but they did dow Greece and took a chunk of it. And so one more Greek territory and Malta, and they would have it. They also took back their East Africa point and killed the rail to the Commonwealth. So some good play there and being able to set that up. The poor Commonwealth over here. So the Soviets bombed their port and and locked the 3 transports in port with 6 infantry in Aden that was headed to go reinforce Calcutta, and that was the same turn that the Germans killed the Commonwealth Bank by taking London, so they couldn't repair the port to get them out. So then they did repair it, and then the Italians bombed it, and they lost their bomber. So they did scramble those transports out, but it's just turn over turn. They've been delayed seriously logistically and be able to get that stuff out. But I mean, otherwise, here in Africa, and this is all German, the Vichy flipped over to German. Here in Africa, the Commonwealth still has some Italian problems to root out. On turn 17, the Soviets attacked Calcutta. They killed everything but 7 units. Pretty costly because it was an unsurrounded city. But they whittled them down enough so that the Commonwealth actually decided to leave, so they wouldn't get surrounded because there were a bunch of rockets. Thank you to Rocket Techs on turn 17 to get one free and build two more. So they were going to rocket some stuff, bomb some stuff, but then when the Commonwealth left, they just took it pretty easily and then killed what was left trying to evacuate in Bengal. But the Commonwealth presence in Malay was not going to be routed out anytime soon. You can see it's this army here. There's still a decent 8 units plus a couple militia. I mean, good stuff there. And then this Anzac marker actually is in Hong Kong, which was liberated by the DEI forces, which flipped because Germany needed to take Festung Europa. Oh, that was the shenanigans I mentioned. So the Republicans actually came up and were able to kill the militia that was in Normandy and take away Festung Europa, at least for a turn. So they would have lost it, but it did reduce the score to only 7 for the Axis instead of 8 from that move. Again, short term, but kind of fun, and ended up working. So back over here, the Pacific, of course, Anzac was fine and safe the whole time, and with the Commonwealth having the DEI, they were able to start. So they're moving Dutch infantry they moved them into Hong Kong to liberate that, and then they moved into Kwangtung this turn. And so there's a little bit of a showdown here in China, where the CCP are trying to close in on Nanking, and if they can take Hunan and Nanking and then have the Soviets take Kwangtung from the Allies, then they would get the evolve and the point for Nanking. So potentially a couple more points for the common turn on turn 19 if it had kept going. The common turn did score the Pacific point. They grabbed it and actually never lost anything, but they only need to hang on to one territory to keep it for the rest of the game. Over here, so significant American presence in Guam. So a couple of shipyards, an airbase, a naval port, 3 factories, rockets, jets, HSBs, transports. This is actually a lot of this stuff just left Guam, and this is really just what they just built this last turn. Because if you look over here in Japan, so they were able to airborne and amphibiously assault and take both Kyushu and Honshu this last turn, and because of that, they actually captured a heavy battleship, a heavy cruiser, and a transport in port, which gave them Big Blue Fleet. So that's part of how they got to their 4 points on the last turn as well. And the Americans continue to have HSBs coming, more transports, and so you see Midway was the launching point until they built all these facilities out here at Guam. So Tokyo is still pretty safe. They did get carpet bombed, so these are all skeleton crews, and they'll repair on the next turn, or they would repair on the next turn, and plus there's a decent stack there, so I'm sure they actually take back a lot of the things that are, these ships here won't last because they'll attack and take Honshu back there. But they might be a while in being able to take Kyushu, and so then China then becomes the hot spot if it had continued. So, but that was the game. End game die roll on turn 18. It missed on 17, obviously, and but it was a really great battle. Some game we were talking about how some games you get to turn 17 and the score is 10 to 5 to 4, and it's that it's over. This one really came down to the end game die roll, so really close game. Even though the Allies are currently at 4, they were at 8 just 2 turns ago. So super close game. Just the Allies looked really strong, and so the common turn and Axis kind of ganged up on them and beat them up a little bit. And they also had they had a terrible failed attack on Tokyo on turn 17, I think it was. And so if that had gone differently, it absolutely could have been a different ending to the game. But they got diced pretty hard. But that's it. Table 2 is over. We'll come back when either another table is ends or with the daily update tomorrow morning. That's it from me. Cheers.